Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Okay, I'm going to bypass my usual intro because I want to jump right into it. Okay, this video is going to be replacing another video that I uploaded just a couple of days ago where I was talking about Steven Spielberg, Netflix, and the whole hot button debate going on right now in regards to that. And the reason why I'm replacing that video with this video is not because I gave any kind of incorrect information in that video or misled you, but because there was a few people that came forward, enough people, not an enormous amount of people, but enough people in my eyes, and contacted me on the various social media platforms expressing their confusion with some of the details that I was saying in that video. So I revisited that video and I watched it and I thought to myself, you know what? You're right. I think I could have done a better job at compartmentalizing my thoughts and articulating those thoughts to you. Now, if you're somebody who was not confused by what I was talking about, great, then you probably don't need to watch this video. But you will anyway, because you love me. That was kind of creepy. So that's why I'm doing this video. So once it's uploaded, which it obviously is because you're watching it, I will delete that video. Okay, so what's the situation? We're talking about Steven Spielberg, Netflix, and that whole hot button debate that's going on right now. So what is the situation? Okay, let's start here. First of all, I understand both sides of the debate. I completely understand what Steven Spielberg is saying, and I actually agree with him. At the same time, I'm also an independent filmmaker as well as a professional voice actor, so I understand the other side of the coin, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, totally. I cannot not agree with that. And I believe the solution is somewhere in the middle. What that's going to be yet, I don't know. But that's my stance on it right now, okay? So you have a perspective on that. Okay. So let's start with Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is arguably one of, if not the greatest, most influential filmmaker in the history of cinema. You cannot debate that. Regardless of what your personal feelings are on him, regardless of whether or not you think he's had a hit movie or a good movie in the last 10 or 15 years, is completely irrelevant. He changed the fundamental fabric of the movie-going experience. He changed the way we watched and consumed movies. And it's not just the movies he directed. It's the movies he produced and helped bring to life. Let's not forget that he produced the Back to the Future trilogy. He produced Gremlins. He produced Poltergeist. He produced The Goonies. I mean, the list goes on and on. Some people actually think he kind of directed Poltergeist. That's a whole other thing that you can look up. Some of you probably know what I'm talking about. So, he changed pop culture time and time and time again. When he speaks, people listen. But there are a lot of people that think he's completely in the wrong on this one. And I understand that. So, Spielberg believes that movies that are streamed online, whether it's Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, whatever the case is, should not be eligible to win an Academy Award, to be nominated for Oscars. Because by definition, and he's right, the platform is a television service. Now, of course, I'm talking categorically, okay? For example, Stranger Things is known as a web television series because that's the category it falls into. So whether you watch it on your phone or your tablet or your computer or your big TV, that's the category it falls into. So Spielberg's argument then is, well, by default then, movies that wind up solely on these services should then be known as television movies, and instead of being nominated for Oscars, they maybe should be nominated for Emmys, like what HBO does. I mean, listen, HBO is not tied to commercials. HBO is not tied to, certain content. Have you seen the fucking movies they dish out? It's incredible. And they're nominated for Emmys because of the platform and the category HBO falls into. So, the reason why Spielberg is doing this, and he's a huge proponent of this, is because he's trying to preserve the in-theater, communal, movie-going, cinematic experience because it is threatened. Okay? And he's not stupid. You don't get to Spielberg's level. Okay? You don't get to make the shit that he's made and has the experience he has, and be naive to the fact that the world is changing. Because I see this narrative online that Spielberg's argument is that Netflix movies shouldn't be nominated for Oscars because he doesn't think that they're good enough. Now, it's not said verbatim like that, but that's the sort of inconspicuous suggestion that a lot of people think is going on here, and that's not what he's saying. Now, I don't know what the fuck he thinks when he's at home with Kate Capshaw, you know, having a tea. I have no idea. But that's not what he's saying, and he hasn't come out and said that. He's trying to preserve and protect that in-theater movie-going experience because streaming does threaten it. Now, okay, that's his argument, okay? And he feels that he wants to bring some rule changes to the Motion Picture Academy that will prevent Netflix from having movies nominated for Oscars. And of course, that has a lot of people up in arms, but it's not because he hates Netflix or because he thinks the movies that wind up on there are garbage or that he thinks Roma is a piece of shit. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with that, okay? So we have to separate these two, okay? Okay, let's talk about Oscar eligibility. How does your movie become eligible for consideration for an Academy Award nomination? Well, there's a number of variables and factors, but the big rule is this, and this rule has been in place for a number of years, and it's been set in place by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and the rule is that your movie must play for at least 1 week, 7 days, in Los Angeles and New York to paying customers. I mean, it can play longer than a week, that's the minimum, but it's got to be at least 7 days. Now, that doesn't mean your movie, if you do that, you are going to be nominated for an Academy Award. It doesn't mean that at all. But it means that if you want to be considered for a nomination, you gotta do that. Because those are the major markets in the United States. So, and ordinarily, that wasn't a big deal. But because of the rise of streaming, it's become a big deal. It's become now a loophole where it really wasn't before because of streaming. Okay, so let's put that Oscar eligibility aside for a minute because in my last video where I talked about this, what I'm about to talk about now, some people thought that these two things were connected, and they're not. Because of the rise of streaming and Amazon Prime and Hulu and Netflix and, you know, all that juicy shit we love, there is a universally agreed upon collective rule in place, an agreement between the studios and the movie theaters that when a movie begins playing in a movie theater, it needs to be in the movie theater for 3 months. It needs to be playing somewhere for 3 months before it can be considered and move to streaming or VOD or even Blu-ray or 4K. Okay? There's a 90-day window. And the reason why that rule is there is because they want to obviously, this is a business and they want to make money, right? Who are we fooling? But they also want to help preserve the cinematic experience. They want you to go to the movie theater to watch the movie because they know that streaming threatens that. And what's the point of having movie theaters if you can just watch it at home? And they want to preserve that. So there is an agreement between the theater chains and the studios. Well, Amazon Prime, who doesn't have to play by those rules, does. They do. Manchester by the Sea, I believe, was theirs. And they released it to the movie theaters. And it was in the movie theaters, I believe, for 3 months before it wound up on their service. They obviously didn't have to do that, but they did because they recognized the importance of the agreement. Netflix, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't want to, and they don't have to because of this now what is a loophole. Well, for our movies to be considered for Oscars, well, you know what? We'll just release it, we'll play it and we'll do the little thing where, it's a week or two or whatever, and then we'll just throw it up on our service. We'll just reap all the benefits of that. I get it. And many of you are probably like, what the fuck's wrong with that? Well, nothing. They're not doing anything illegal. But it's the principle. It's the principle because of what Spielberg is trying to protect. And I get it. I get it. Listen, watching Avengers Infinity War on here, or even on my 32-inch screen in front of me, or my gigantic screen out there in my home theater, or my tablet, or whatever the case is, okay? It's cool. It's fun. Watching a movie on my phone, it's cool. Watching a movie in my home theater, oh, it's awesome. It's great. Watch, Empire Strikes Back out there. Whoa, it's got the surround sound. Big. It's awesome. But in my opinion, I am fooling myself if I think that, as awesome as that is anywhere near the awesomeness of an in-movie theater experience of an IMAX and a gigantic 60-foot screen with awesome digital surround sound in the dark with 250 people I don't know experiencing a Star Wars movie, or Avengers Infinity War, or Avengers Endgame coming up, or just pick your fucking movie. It pales in comparison. That experience needs to be preserved. I agree with that, 100%. 100%. That doesn't mean that watching a movie on your phone's not fun. Doesn't mean that watching a movie in your home theater is not awesome, right? There's amazing home theaters now. And you know what? You flip that coin over, going to the movies is fucking expensive. Really expensive. And a movie is a movie is a movie is a movie. And there's the argument that, obviously when people make movies, a lot of people make movies not necessarily for Netflix. They play the festival circuit and Paramount has no interest in picking it up. Neither does Warner Brothers. But you know what? Netflix does. So they put it on Netflix. But it's an amazing movie. Should that movie then not be considered for an Academy Award because Netflix just decided to pick it up? Listen, I'm an independent filmmaker, right? Maybe, I'm struggling to get distribution for something. And it's an amazing film, but for whatever reason, Lionsgate just don't want it. Paramount, nah. Netflix comes along. We'll pick it up. So they do. I get it. Netflix has been a saving grace for a lot of voices that wouldn't otherwise be heard. A lot of cinematic filmmakers that otherwise would not have been heard. I understand that part of the argument, 100%. And therefore, should not those movies that are movies, they're definitely movies, should they not be considered for movies' highest honor? Just because it's a streaming service? Streaming is the future, man. I understand that. I agree with that. Let's flip the coin back over. I think it's this way. But man, that cinematic experience is so important to me. It's so important to me. There's nothing like experiencing a movie on the gigantic screen. In my opinion. Now, you might go, dude, I don't fucking care. I got a 120-inch, screen. I got the surround sound. I got the cozy things. I don't have to fucking go out and spend all that money. I just fucking watch it. It's great. I don't really care. No, I understand that. I got the same thing. I understand it. But I'd be lying if I said, oh yeah, that out there, it's exactly like the fucking IMAX down the street. Experience it. Oh yeah, watch Avengers Infinity War here, watch it there, same thing. Same experience. No, it's not. No, it's not. It pales in comparison. And I understand preserving that experience. A good horror movie, a good action movie, a good adventure movie, feeling the adrenaline, feeding off the energy of the people, especially if you're watching a good horror movie or something. I get it. So that's the situation of what's going on. And Steven Spielberg wants to help preserve that. That's what his heart is in the right place. Okay. He's not just this old dinosaur that doesn't understand technology, that doesn't understand trends, that doesn't understand what's happening, it's not that at all. It's that he's trying to help preserve that experience. And he believes that the Academy Award, which is movies' highest honor, should be designated for movies that are actually in the movie theater and that run for a substantial amount of time so people can have that communal in-theater movie-going cinematic experience. And I get what he's saying, like I do. And that's why, because I see both sides of the coin, I think the solution lies somewhere in the middle. I think there should be an agreement. I don't think, Netflix has to learn to play the game at some point. Okay? They have to learn to play the game. There's got to be some sort of game they have to play. And the Academy has got to be able to play Netflix's game. Okay. There's got to be, okay, you pull, I'll pull. You push, I'll push. And we'll kind of go like this and we'll see, okay, you do that, we'll do this, that, okay, we'll do this, and then everybody's like, okay, all right, let's see how this goes. And maybe it'll be a process over a few years where some adjustments will have to be made because Netflix and streaming's not going anywhere. And, nobody wants, at least I don't, I can't speak for you, but I don't want the movie theater experience to go away, So it's important that a compromise is made somewhere. But that's what Spielberg is talking about. He's not saying that Netflix movies are garbage and they don't deserve Oscars because of the quality. No, he's saying because of the categories that they fall in right now, I want to propose some rule changes because I believe very strongly in the cinematic experience. And it's something you just don't get at home. And as much as we can replicate it to the best of our abilities to something that's pretty fucking awesome because it's relative, right? You have a home theater that's in a confined space. It can feel, because you feel it bouncing off your walls and shit. But there's nothing like being in that gigantic theater, man. 60-foot screen. Yeah, a lot of scream. 60-foot screen, Marvel, Avengers, Endgame. Where do you want to watch it? You want to watch it here first? Or you want to watch it in the IMAX first? And the second time? And the third time? Oh, you're going for a fifth time. That's where you want to watch it. Now, if you want to watch it a year later on here at home, well, that's fine, because you already know what the fuck happens. It's not that big of a deal. You're not watching it for the experience. You're just watching it because you really like the movie. But that movie-going experience, that needs to be preserved. I agree, 100%. But you flip that coin over and it's like, it's a complicated debate that is going to unfold, no doubt, over the coming weeks and months, and I will probably do some more videos on it. So that's where I'm going to leave it right now. So hopefully I have been clear for you, for those of you that were a little confused. We'll talk about this in the coming weeks and months as more unfolds. Because there's no doubt this isn't going away anytime soon. And I find it really fascinating and really interesting. So hopefully you guys do too. It's really late here. I got to get to bed. So yeah, comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you already commented on that last video and you don't want to comment again, totally understand. Don't feel you have to. But if you want to, by all means, knock yourselves out. So yeah, my name's Dave McRae. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. That's where I tend to post in the meantime and in between time when I'm not posting here. The link is in the description as well as links to everything else. My IMDb, my Twitter, my merch store, my Patreon, my official website. It's all down there. Check it out if you want to. So yeah, in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.